All right, next time talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, amongst all of the unfortunate news that has happened in the Steelers family, we do have some good news. A return to the field that I think is going to be big time for this team. It's going to pay off dividends, and people are going to love to see that. But, Nick, sadly, Franco Harris, Steelers legend, one of the great ones on this team, has passed away. And we want to talk about the good times that the Steelers had with Franco Harris. So let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite memory of Franco Harris? A lot of people, I'm going to call you out right now, they're going to say Immaculate Reception. That's an easy one. So if that is it, that is fine. But if you have a different one, a more interesting one, that would be great too. So let us know in the comments below, what's your favorite Franco Harris memory? But Nick, what do you have for the Steelers?
Yeah, before I go to this report, I remember growing up, I watched a lot of the old NFL films, like the NFL's greatest game. So I remember there was one, it was Dallas in a Super Bowl. I think it was after the 78 season, where Franco Harris had a huge 30-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter, go up 2 scores for the Steelers when the Dallas defensive back tackled the referee instead of Franco Harris. I've just seen that replay like 5,000 times. So when I think Franco Harris, I always think that play. But when it comes to the Steelers and who's returning to the field, there is some good news. So this is according to Brooke Pryor, ESPN staff writer, talking about none other than quarterback Kenny Pickett. So here we go from the report. After being sidelined with his second concussion in 8 weeks, Steelers rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett is expected to start against the Las Vegas Raiders on Saturday night. As a Monday afternoon, Pickett remained in the concussion protocol, but Tomlin said if the team practiced Monday, Pickett would be a full participant. And as a Tuesday afternoon, the 20th of December, he was a full participant. So that's good news for the Steelers. It validates the report here by Brooke Pryor that he will start against the Las Vegas Raiders. And here's why I think this is a big deal, Miles, because like the report noted, this Pickett has had 2 concussions his rookie year. Right. He wasn't the day one starter. Obviously, Trubisky was. And not only that, but Trubisky came in, filled in the last 2 weeks. And obviously, the Ravens game was bad, but he did get a win against the Carolina Panthers. And like you alluded to, the Steelers are still in the playoffs. And despite all of that, despite coming off a win with a different quarterback, despite still being in the playoff hunt, despite Pickett having some injuries and not being able to get into a rhythm, the Steelers still want to go with Pickett. Tomlin still wants to go with Pickett. To me, that speaks volume to the command of the offense, the command of the locker room, the command of the huddle, all that little intangible stuff that everyone kind of ignores, but I think is a big part of Kenny Pickett's game, that I think Pickett has established himself in the Steelers organization. The fact that they already view him as the quarterback one, Rudolph is the backup, Trubisky is the backup. Pickett in his rookie year, despite missing multiple games, despite not starting the season as the rookie, as the QB1, has clearly established himself as that guy, as the guy. And I think that's a huge sign and a great sign for the Steelers going forward for the rest of the year and for the future as well, that Pickett has already established himself in that position. What do you think of Pickett and this decision by Tomlin and everything with the Steelers the last 3 games of the season here, Mize?
Yeah, Nick, it's really interesting to think about. First off, I think that I'm going to go ahead out and say this one. I think Pickett's going to have a big game this weekend against the Raiders because Franco Harris is actually the one who announced Kenny Pickett's draft pick on draft night. So there's a little bit of a tie-in there when the Steelers selected Pickett. So I think that, maybe he wants to win one for the big guy. Go out, put on a big show. But I think Pickett coming back to this team, I think the point you bring up is very, very important because Trubisky did have one of his better games the last few weeks filling in for Pickett that he has had all season. Especially he targeted Deontay Johnson a lot. There seemed to be chemistry there. But despite all of that, they seem to want to still go with Kenny Pickett. And I think that shows their vision for the future of this franchise. They're not going to, stick to the past. They want to move forward. And they feel as if Kenny Pickett is just that. He is the future of this franchise at this point. He isn't giving you any reason to think not. And that connection between Pickett and Pickens has been really great. The offense, as we said, when he first went into the game, his very first start, the offense just seemed a little bit different. There's a little bit more energy out on the field when Pickett is out there. He gives you a little bit more dynamicism when he can run. He can extend the play. He's just a really great playmaker, Nick. And I think that he brings a lot to this offense. So I'm glad to see him out there. I'm glad that he's back healthy. And I think finishing off this tough stretch, 2 divisional opponents, 1 in Baltimore. That's going to be a big game for him, his first game in Baltimore. And getting this late into the season, January 1, is going to be pretty cold there as well. But he's probably used to that in Pittsburgh. So, going down the stretch, it's going to be a tough one for Pickett, but I think it's going to be one that's very telling and very proving of how good he can be.
Doesn't this speak to his toughness, though, that Pickett actually wants to come in? Because it's one of those things with concussion that you could kind of, if they go to him and he says, look, I don't feel right, he could probably sit himself down the rest of the year pretty easily. Like he could easily, hey, my head's a little woozy. I don't want to go against Max Crosby, or I don't want to go against Ojabo, or I don't want to go up against, Houston or
Myles
Calais Campbell or
Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't want to go up against those guys. My head still hurts. I still got a concussion. He could have easily done that and played that off internally, and no one would have noticed at all and said, "Oh, his concussion is taking a long time." But I really love the fact that Pickett clearly wants to play and compete against the best. It's a good sign, right? You want your quarterback to be the guy to go out there to fight through the injuries, to compete against top competition when it matters most at the end of the year. Because the Steelers technically are still in it. They could still make the playoffs. They win out, get a lot of help that could get in. They play the Raiders, good solid team, kind of a Steelers rival, and they have two AFC North key division rivals. The fact that Pickett wants to play those guys in those tough environments, going to Baltimore, great stadium, tough environment. You and I have been there a number of times. I think it's a great sign for the Pittsburgh Steelers' future going forward. And if I'm a Steelers fan right now, I am excited that Kenny Pickett wants to keep playing. And I think going forward into 2023, 2024 and beyond, you got yourself a real keeper here.